Now, Republican senator from Tennessee and chairman of the Senate Republican Conference, Senator Lamar Alexander. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. We also have Jim Cramer with us. He wants to ask you a question about General Motors.
Good.
Hey, Senator, isn't it true that there really isn't any plan for this company to actually make money, and that the U.S. taxpayer just bought shares in a company that is meant to be nothing more than a jobs program?
Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but what I think we ought to do is, as soon as there's a new General Motors, which ought to be 60 or 90 days, is to give all the stock to everybody who paid taxes in April. That's about 150 million shareholders, and we'll see what the marketplace thinks it's worth. Get it out of Washington into the hands of individual investors.
But, Senator, it's out of Washington in the hands of the union. What are you going to do with the union stakes, since it looks like that they really will be the trigger pullers for this company?
Well, the government owns 60%. The union trust fund owns 20%. Canada owns 12%. The bondholders own 10%. So if you put 60% out among the people, you'll build a fan base, kind of like the Green Bay Packers. And second, you'll get it all out of Washington. I mean, you know what's going to happen. Congressmen are going to be causing the president of General Motors to drive his hybrid car to Washington to talk about hiring your grandmother, what kind of car you're going to have, what are you going to paint it, where are you going to buy your engine. They're not going to be having time to make any cars. So their best chance for success is declare stock dividend, get it all out of here into the hands of the people whose money it is.
Senator, around the table this morning, we've been hearing an increasing concern about the runaway control of these companies and this administration by powerful union bosses. Yeah. And I'm hearing that from Republicans and Democrats alike. In fact, I would expect it from Republicans. I would expect it from Wall Street people. I would not expect it from the Democrats I'm hearing it from. Is there an imbalance in these negotiations that tip overwhelmingly in the favor of unions?
Well, it already was there with General Motors. I mean, the whole situation for the last 30 or 40 years has been the big three and UAW haven't really had any competition, and that's why they have a problem. Suddenly, in came the foreign car makers. But the best way to get rid of that, or the perception of that, is as long as the government owns 60% of the stock of General Motors, and you have a Democratic administration in power and a Democratic Congress, people are going to suspect that the unions run the company. Get it out of here. Put 60% in the hands of 150 million taxpayers and let it be in the marketplace, and that's the best antidote to having one block of union leaders control it.
Senator, we also have Morton Zuckerman here. Morton?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. There is an argument, of course, that if you're going to have the unions involved in this company, you want to have them be a stakeholder in terms of making the company be efficient and be at least competitive in the marketplace, that this is one way to do it, since after all they did give up a huge portion of their pension assets and health care assets in order to make this plan come through and come together. Don't you think there is at least some argument in that regard, that they will now understand how important it is that the company be competitive, or else their 20% will be worthless?
Well, of course that's right, but the UAW and General Motors already had a partnership. I mean, I was governor when the Saturn plant came to Tennessee 25 years ago. General Motors didn't run it. It was a UAW General Motors partnership, and they sat right down next to a Nissan plant that's run by former Ford Motor Company executives, and it was non-union, side by side. Nissan's had the most productive automobile plant in North America many times during the last 25 years, and Saturn's had trouble. So I'm glad for the union to have its say, but it already does in any Detroit company. And I think it's better to get the ownership out of Washington. It's going to take 5 years to get this stock out of Washington, unless you just give it to the taxpayer this year.
All right, Senator Lamar Alexander, thanks so much for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you, Senator.
We want to move back.